Full transparency, I did not play this game myself. In fact, it felt close to impossible to even make this video, just because of how little official information there is out there, even though this is supposed to release tomorrow. Still, this game is pretty highly wishlisted, as it is the sequel to a pretty legendary roguelike. So I have done at least 4 or 5 hours of research in various Discord servers, wikis and websites to get you the best information as I can. Despite the perhaps cute graphics, this is definitely not a game for the faint-hearted. Not only does it have very deep mechanics, it also actually has pretty dark, some even say weird and messed up elements that I will not go into further detail right now. It is worth mentioning that you can turn most of these morally questionable things off, so it is not mandatory. Now, Elin is a massive sandbox RPG that is a prequel to this cult classic Japanese game, Elona. So you land in this world as an adventurer, and from there it seems as if it's pretty much up to you what you want to do. The beauty of a sandbox game, the meadow acts as your tutorial area. You get a good chunk of land, and this guy, Ashland, helps you get set up with basic tools and stuff. Later on you can also have companions called allies, who fight along your side. The game really is all about building up your own little piece of this world. You can build everything, from a simple house to entire towns. You'll need to manage your land, grow food, craft a ton of items, and deal with random creatures that show up. Now at this point it is worth mentioning that one of these creatures is a succubus, and apparently this succubus does very questionable things to some of your NPCs. Things that many of us would think don't typically belong in a game like this. There are quite a few of these bizarre things in this game, so if you're not really up for this, especially for controversial stuff, then this game may honestly be a pass for you. But moving on from that, there are these dungeons called Nefia, scattered around the world. These are randomly generated, and this is where you will find a lot of good loot and face some tougher enemies. The game has a pretty deep crafting system, and you need different crafting stations, like workbenches, sawmills, and tinker's tables. If we just take a look at the cooking aspect, there are 9 different crafting stations just for food, and a shit ton of recipes and ingredients. Cooking is actually very important here, because food gives you permanent boosts to your character. So yes, this game is deep, and you will likely have to leave a wiki tab open. In this game you also have to pay taxes, which is a pretty big deal. If you don't pay, you'll become a criminal pretty quick. There are, to my knowledge, 15 classes in the game. That includes the typical stuff like warrior, but also priest and witch. Combat-wise it looks fairly simple, but there are weapon masteries, combat skills and other things to work on. There are also various abilities you can use that consume your stamina. This game has a karma system that measures the player's lawfulness. At negative karma, you are treated as a criminal and are attacked on sight by guards, and many shopkeepers won't do business with you. If you join the Thieves Guild, however, these offer scrolls of incognito that can temporarily remove that hostility. This is once again a prime example of how deep this game is. If we just take a look at the actions that can decrease karma, this ranges from simple theft to killing a cat, or even worse, stealing a pet's property. It is worth mentioning that you can join various guilds, like the Fighters Guild or the Mages Guild, that grant you different perks. There is a death penalty in this game, which means you lose 40 to 60% of the money you have, and the experience of your attributes will be reduced. Keep in mind that you will not receive a death penalty for the first 90 in-game days. Once again, taking a look at the possible causes of deaths shows us just how intricate many of the game's aspects are, and the developer's statement that this game offers an overwhelming degree of freedom and chaos is likely not an overstatement. The game is early access, and while only some of the main quests and side quests have been introduced, some people have already put hundreds of hours into the alpha version of the game, just because of how extensive this game's sandbox mode is. And that sentence concludes today's video. If your time was respected, a like or comment is very much appreciated.